For Walt Whitman, knowest thou not there is but one theme for ever-enduring bards? Was it the slender wild oat, or the purple needle grass, or perhaps another group of monocots excelling at spreading and colonizing areas parched from too little rain, where freezes were too long and cold, or areas scorched by the fires of wars that were too frequent, whose leaves have a disarming sameness, whose flowers are tiny, but whose breathy voices are loud and eloquent. America is ideal grassland. Was it the rustling, murmuring song of leaves of grass that called out to you, intrepid poet, teacher, and volunteer nurse, shaped your long rhythmical lines of cadence verse, free of strict meter or rhyme, yet recognizable as poetry by a nation that absorbed you like a holy feast, even when it rebuked you, as you yourself rebuked the elevated hero to give voice to the common man. You reached out to me, poet, through your irregular biblical cadence, recurring prurient phrasing and syntactical patterns. You dared me to inhale the fragrance of myself and a new freedom, but I was afraid, too young perhaps for your grown-up stanzas, to listen to the song of green and dry leaves, to stay with you night and day, to absorb the meanings of your poems. I ran from your poetry like one suddenly aware of his nakedness in a laughing, mocking crowd, and yet like the proverbial moth to the seductive flame, I kept coming back, hoping to reach into your verse and take a little from you without getting burned. But even a little was too much. Heads athwart, hips and tongues plunging into bare stripped hearts. The love in your poems was an overbearing entity. It was one thing to self-pleasure in my poems, to feign to expose myself, to attract a voyeur's attention with an open display of private parts, to even couch spirit in shocking eroticism, but quite another to look upon my own naked sexuality. I had to penetrate the mirror of my fear and likewise plunge into your imagery, come what may. Look upon your undressed sensual figures free of gender prescriptions, your unadulterated man love, and the tumults that change grace into wantonness before I realize with breath-expelling relief that I was not physically aroused, that the only thing tumescent about me, in me, was an ever-growing insight, a penetrating mental vision that love in all its forms, like a girder fastened above and parallel to the keel of one of your beloved ships, strengthens creation. The broken shards of fear dropped away and crashed to the floor. I was awestruck by the expanse of your vision and wondered if I would ever be able to poet like that, if I would ever celebrate and sing myself. I, who had not yet seen the horrors of war, or the predations of pandemics, or lost a loved one, or reached into the place I must reach to admit that I was powerless over everything. Could I ever hear the leaves of grass and, like you, witness, wait, and write?